Sue Rice was a Snow College, or is a Snow College business alumni, so why don't we give her a hand just for that. And she's the president and CEO of Kavanaugh Services Group Incorporated. She has over 20 years of experience working in the environmental cleanup area. Ms. Rice began her career in the industry in 1988 when she was hired as employee number 9 with a small startup company named EnviroCare of Utah Incorporated. After 11 years helping this small startup company grow into the nation's largest radioactive disposal facility, Sue decided to give her own business a try. So in 2002, in the back room of her house with her 2 dogs, Kavanaugh Service Group was born. Kavanaugh Service Group Incorporated has grown into a competitive, financially strong, integrated project management and transportation logistics company that serves environmental remediation generators, government agencies, and commercial companies. In fact, in the past 6 months, the company's staff has increased over 80%. She has received all kinds of awards. I'm just going to mention a couple of them here for you. In 2007, she was the Entrepreneurship magazine 12th fastest growing women's business in America. That's wonderful. 2007, Utah 100, second fastest growing company in Utah, and the U.S. Small Business Administration in 2005 as the Utah Small Business Person of the Year. With that, let's give a warm welcome to Sue Rice.
To be here today back in Ephraim. I want to know more about that pocket pizza warmer-upper. That sounds good. 34 years ago today, well, 34 years ago this month, I got off a bus 2 blocks from here at midnight. I had just left my family and my friends in Massachusetts, 2,000 miles away, to move to Ephraim, Utah to go to school and play sports for Snow College. It was the biggest risk I'd ever taken. I was only 18 years old. So I stand here today and I think about that initial risk that I took 34 years ago, a couple of blocks away, and how I've come full circle back to Ephraim today to talk to you about being an entrepreneur and share my story with you and some of my achievements as an entrepreneur. And it's just really cool to be here today and to be back in Ephraim. And I have to tell you, I had to stop at the malt shop on the way in and get a small curly fry. So I'm back. But very excited to be here today. Before we start, I'd like to get a feel for the audience. And who here is a current entrepreneur? Raise your hand. Excellent. Who are some aspiring entrepreneurs in the crowd? Good. Very good. Great. I hope I can look forward to sharing with you a little bit about my story, my company, how I started, and at the end, I have a second portion of my presentation that hopefully a little bit of thought-provoking about entrepreneurial thinking. Okay. Kavanaugh Services Group. Doug did a great job talking a little bit about the company, but we do. When I went to get my first loan with the bank, I said to them, I said, listen, I'm not selling pencils. I deal in radioactive and hazardous waste. It's something that when I started out, as he said, I started in the back room of my house with my 2 dogs. Still today, they're 2 of the best employees I've ever had. But we're in a highly regulated industry. We've been in business 10 years. And we support the government, Fortune 500 companies. And what we do is, with the packaging and transportation, this next picture is an example of a project we did in Illinois for the Department of Energy, cleaning up some radioactive soil. What we do is we identify and help manage the waste material. We identify and from a customer standpoint, provide the compliant packaging, be it, in this case, you have bags, you have bags with radioactive soil here. We will identify and we will contract with trucking firms or rail companies and use you can see this is being loaded onto a flatbed rail car, or we use a flatbed truck, and we also use rail cars. So we work with the customer where we actually help identify and pull all the waste management scopes of work together, and then move that from the original project, in this case Illinois, and ship that down. We ship this to Nevada for final disposition. Okay. Just give you a feel for what we do there. Before you start a business, you really need three things. You need an idea. You need access to capital, I mean money. And you need to have experience or knowledge of something. Okay. For me, my idea started with, I was already working in the environmental cleanup business, and that was important to me. Cleaning up the environment was important to me. Okay. And at the same time, there was only one other company doing this type of work. And I listened to the industry, and they said they were having problems. And so I saw a problem to solve, because people complained about their level of customer service, and I thought, I can be better than that. I can do better than that. Combined with, all of that combined then with a potential customer that said to me, can you help me? I need some waste containers. Can you help me? So I immediately went to the network that I had to get some support. I looked around and I need money. Where am I going to get my funding? I went to the Small Business Administration, the SBA. The SBA is a federal organization that helps small entrepreneurs and small businesses grow, get started and grow. I used debt financing through a local bank, working with the SBA, and I got my first loan to buy 30 containers, these 20-foot waste containers, to start my business. And within a month, I had my first contract with that customer, and I said, yes, I can help you. And she gave me a contract for $600,000 within the first month of my business. So with that, that's how I got started. I had my idea, I had some experience, and I was able to get my capital. Now, since we're on the topic of funding and capital, I just want to say today, for entrepreneurs in the crowd, more than ever, the funding platform for you to go get funding to start or grow your business is better than it ever has been. You've got crowdfunding. You've got angel investing, all types, all levels. You've got your traditional private equity firms and venture capitalists. Okay, crowdfunding, people get together, and they have internet. You can do it through the internet, and it can be as small as $1,000 a loan or a $2,000 loan, up to millions of dollars. So it's one thing to look at that and keep that in mind, because the environment is better than it ever has been for funding for entrepreneurs. A little bit about my background. Doug talked quite a bit about that. I am a very proud Snow College graduate. I'm a class of 1980, and don't do the math. I'm pretty old, but I did. I graduated from Snow in '80 and went up to the U for a couple of years, and then I got into the working world, and I decided to get into the nuclear energy industry. I had some family members in there, and what I did is I got trained and certified as a health physicist, but the biggest turning point in my career was taking that job with a small startup, EnviroCare of Utah, up in Salt Lake, and being employee number 9, I got to have access and exposure to everything. I learned everything. I dove in. I wanted to learn everything. I started out as a technical person, working out the site, and then I moved up into the marketing, and 11 years later, when I quit to start my own business, I had moved up. There were 350 people in the company, and I moved up, and I was the vice president of business development. But that truly was the turning point, and today I could not have started my business if I didn't have that experience with EnviroCare. And what's interesting about it, some of the customers that I had when I was working with EnviroCare in the 1990s are still some of my customers today. Again, the value of network, and you'll hear me say that word quite a bit. A little bit about my personal characteristics, and I think that helped me get on the path of being an entrepreneur. I've always had a propensity for risk. Okay, in my dorm room at Snow Hall, as an 18-year-old, I had this poster with a big ship on my wall that said ships in a harbor are safe, but that's not what ships are built for. And I even have that same saying in a smaller frame in my office today. To me, risk is an adventure. Okay? Another thing, I've always liked to try new things. I like to innovate. Okay? And the third thing is I've always strived for achievement. And I think that is, from being a competitive athlete. So risk, innovation, achievement. Okay? And that's helped me get on the path for as an entrepreneur. Okay. The importance of, another aspect I want to share with you, the importance of name or branding. I mean, Snow College just went through this. You just added orange to your color, okay? And I understand that there was some discussion, should we keep the blue? Then it was realized and it was decided, yes, that blue color is Snow College, and the branding can be very critical from a color standpoint and from a lot of aspects. So with branding, here I had 30 containers, I had a contract. How was I going to get the industry to know who I was and let them know I exist? So I started thinking about, well, this is my company. What's the most important thing to me? And the most important thing to me is my family and my heritage. I'm first generation Irish and very proud of that fact. So I started with the name, Kavanagh, very Irish name, my mother's maiden name. I looked at the Celtic unity knot, and I chose that because I felt it represented not only the Celtic design, but the unity between Kavanagh, its customers, and our suppliers. And then purple and green are the colors that are very traditional Irish colors. And to me, purple's a very strong color. And when I was deciding what to do, and I had my idea, that other company, there was one other company that was doing, they had battleship gray containers, and purple is much prettier than battleship gray. So here's an example of our branding. These are our 20-foot waste containers. I now own over 100 of those. And you can see these are happen to be double stacked on a flatbed rail car. But the purple, and it's worked well. I mean, in our industry, if you say Kavanagh, they will say purple. But I do have to share with you, purple mean other things. We were delivering some containers to a customer site, and he called me up and he said, "What are these Barney boxes?" And I was like, "Oh no!" But purple really, again, has been worked real well for us, and the branding again is good, and the orange looks nice. The orange looks nice with the Snow College colors. You can't be successful in business or in life without strong, proper values. This is my list. Okay. And all of them are important. But if I had to pick one, that would be integrity. As a business owner, you have to have integrity. You just don't have the option there. You have to have integrity. About Kavanagh today, we've been very fortunate. We've had a lot of success. We pretty much live by a simple mission statement of be better today than you were yesterday, both professionally and personally. Bring value to our customers, and live by the motto, mediocrity is not an option. Set a high standard and keep it there. Okay. Not only is it important to have the idea to start a business and start as an entrepreneur, to have the idea, get your money, have some knowledge and experience at something. It is critical and essential to have strong leadership and management skills. Okay. Developing a strong, cohesive culture in a company is vital to the existence and survival of a company. Okay, so if you're an entrepreneur or an aspiring entrepreneur, if you don't have those skills, then go get the training. Get the trainings. Plenty of leadership and management training classes out there. Or you hire someone that is very good at that to be your right-hand person. Okay. But again, you have to be, as the entrepreneur and the owner, You have to be the strategic visionary and keep that company moving forward, but you've got to have a strong culture and a team behind you. A couple of years ago, I was at a conference and Bill Ford was there, of Ford Motor Company, and he's made this statement during his presentation. He said, "I make mistakes every day." And I sat there and I thought, wow, I make mistakes every day. And here you have the leader of one of the world's biggest and most powerful companies saying, "I make mistakes every day." And that resonated with me because I thought, wow, an entrepreneur, no matter if you've been in business 60 days or 60 years, and in this case Ford, many, many years, you have the same challenges. We share the same challenges. But I really think the most critical message out of what Mr. Ford said was, realize what you don't know and learn from it. As an entrepreneur, yes, we make mistakes every day. And I know the people in here, they'll agree. You make mistakes every day, but the important thing is to learn from it so you don't have to keep making those mistakes. And also, on that note, we learn every day. We continue to learn every day. If you don't, you get stagnant and you don't move forward. You have to continue and be open to learning every day. Key strategies before we get into and go over the list. These key strategies really have worked for Sue Rice. They've worked for Kauffman Services Group. But those of you that are in various types of businesses, small, medium, large businesses, service-oriented business, product manufacturing businesses, these strategies can work for all of those. So take that into account and think about that as we go through these and how that can apply to what you're doing and what you would like to do as an entrepreneur. And the reason why we're in business, the overall objective is to make money. Find a customer, make money. So, and in implementing these strategies, it's about obtaining that customer and customers. And you dictate, you as the entrepreneur, as the owner, you dictate that customer's experience. It has to be simple, it has to be special, and it has to be reliable. You have to understand the customer's pain points and eliminate those. Okay. Let's go through a couple of these. Okay. Niche market. Don't be common. Don't be like everyone else. It gives you that much more opportunity to be successful. Like myself, one company was doing that work. They weren't doing it well, and there was an opportunity to get into that niche and expand. Okay. Follow the money. Okay. What's the funding source of your industry, of your market? How are you going to make money? Okay. And work with profitable customers so they pay the bills. Okay. Change the game. Okay. Create and innovate. That's just so exciting. Okay. The small business certification was very specific to me because of the federal government work I did. It really leveraged my competitive landscape to be able to compete against large businesses, as those certifications give you extra consideration for federal government contracts. The use of mentors, advisors, network. I can't emphasize that enough. Get as much help as you can. Your network. You know, people talk about network. It's not just who's sitting next to you, who you work with. It's who you go to school with. It's if you're standing next to parents at a soccer game. It's people at church. It's people that you know in the bank. It's people you meet in the supermarket. Your network. Build it and nurture it, because that can make all the difference. Advisors. Get an advisory board. You don't have to start with a big board of directors. Be it 3 people. Get an advisory board. Get as much help. It just minimizes the learning curve, and it gets you to success faster. Okay. Elevate the company DNA. Hire qualified technical people. Again, it minimizes your time and your efforts in training. It gets you to market faster. And it also is very essential as a marketing tool. Your staff and the technical capabilities of your staff. With my staff at Kauffman, it's a highly regulated. You have to be certified to ship radioactive and hazardous material, and a lot of training, a lot of certification that you then have to move forward and keep those certifications in task. Dealing with challenges. We have challenges every day. Some days are small challenges, some days are big challenges. I use the peaks and valleys, and I'll tell you where that came from. I was having my first rough year, and I called my mom, and I said, Mom, wow, this is really hard. She goes, well, it's peaks and valleys. And I said, wow, I was looking for a better answer to make me feel better, but when I sat back, I thought, she's right. Businesses, there's peaks and valleys. So when you're in a valley, what I try to do is find an obstacle. When there's an obstacle, I make it into turn it into an opportunity. That's what I try to do. And one thing I want to say, since we're talking about peaks and valleys, when you're at a peak, life is good, customers are all around, business is great, everyone's happy, everyone's getting a bonus. But focus on and think about failure, okay? No one's perfect, okay? So as you're climbing and you're in the peak, in a peak of success, I challenge you to look at the failures that have gone on, areas for improvement, okay? Because you can get a blind spot, okay? Look for areas of improvement and close that gap. Don't forget about those. Close that gap, because that will then ensure future achievement, okay? So look at that. It's fun. Everyone's, again, at the peak, but don't forget areas that you can improve on. Okay? Profit sustainability, business development, it's what it's about. For us to grow and to be successful, what are your core competencies as a company? Okay. Do you need diversification? You need to be flexible. What makes sense for you? Okay. Staying relevant. What I mean by that is listen to your industry. It changes. What does it need? What does it want? Okay. Employees. Employees are always fun. The turnover and managing employees. Some days I'll tell you you want to kiss them, and some days you want to kick them. Okay? But with employees, they're, again, a critical equation to your business operations and success. And keep in mind, too, when you start your business, you're at different phases as your company grows. The employee or employees that fit into your plan when you started, 2, 3 years, 4 years later, they might not fit anymore because you're changing and you're shifting and you're doing new things. So much like a coach in a sports team, who's your strongest player that you're going to put at shortstop? Who's your best catcher? Who's your best pitcher? You have to continually assess your human resources and your staffing needs because they do change as you grow. Okay? So keep that in mind. That's very important. New growth areas. Do you have a plan to scale? What I mean by scale is to grow. Do you have a scalable infrastructure of your company to get it to the next level? Social media, that's changed the world. How is it changing your company, and how do you manage that, and what are the options? And you really have to stay ahead of the game to make that work and see how that works for you. I want to share just one of the programs, initiatives we implemented to give you an idea a couple of years ago when we really started to elevate and grow. We decided we better focus on building our infrastructure. And my advice to any entrepreneur is to develop your procedures and your processes early on, because you need that organizational structure and control, and it will better position you to manage the growth as you go. Because I'll tell you, be it the pizza pocket maker warmer, whatever, it can take off overnight, and you've got to be ready, and you've got to be prepared for that, okay? So as far as Work Smarter program, take a look. Look at the terms I've used here. Formalize these processes and getting them in place. But one of the most paramount is the lessons learned program. What I mean by that is when you make a mistake, which we will make every day, let's learn from that. And what we do is officially capture those mistakes. And we have a formal document. We capture them in a document, and every Monday morning at staff meeting, we go over the lessons learned from the week before. And it's not only enough for me as the entrepreneur and the owner to remember the lesson and implement that, but your whole team, because you don't want to continue to learn lessons. It costs time, it costs money, and you fall back as far as your market share and where you want to go. Okay? So the lessons learned program is very essential there. Key suppliers, your supply chain management, you can live and die by your supply chain, so do your research and make sure you've got people that you can rely on. Use your tools. What I mean by use your tools, what do you have in your toolbox? You have customers, you have contracts, you might have a certain permit or license or certification. Okay? Use what's in your tools. How can you extend and expand your tools and what you already have to work with? Another program we initiated too was Build on Top. We started looking at what we had. It's like, wow, we have our reputation. That's a tool in your box. How do we then build on what we have and make it better? The last slide for the first portion of this is one of my favorites. Okay. Think big, think bold. As an entrepreneur, status quo is not in our vocabulary. So think big, think bold, and that's what will get you there. And dreams do come true. I promise that. The next session, or part of my presentation, is one that I hope will provoke some thoughts in you. It really has just been in the last 5 or 6 years that formal entrepreneurial studies on entrepreneurship or entrepreneurship policy have taken place, and you're now starting to see the results of those studies, academic journals, and books. With this, they have, with these studies, they have interviewed and have collected a lot of data and have interviewed many entrepreneurs, many successful entrepreneurs that have started a small business and then have grown it and gone public with it and have grown it into a billion-dollar business. So what I have to share with you is a little bit of entrepreneurial thinking and where that comes from. We're kind of an odd bunch, you know, and what works up here. But as you go through these, I want you to think about, especially for you entrepreneurs in the crowd, does this make sense? Is this how I think? Or is this very foreign to me? And see how, as far as from an entrepreneurship thinking and studies, how you fit into that. This first quote, I think, captures it quite well. There is a strong consistency in how entrepreneurs think, and it largely explains their unconventional behavior. Well, what's the definition of an entrepreneur? You can go to the internet and find many definitions. I found a couple I'll share with you. One is an entrepreneur is an enterprising individual that builds capital, money, through risk and or initiative. Another one is an entrepreneur is an individual who is willing to launch a new venture or enterprise and take accept full responsibility for its outcome. They both work. An entrepreneur, typically, we perceive an opportunity and we want to get that opportunity and bring it to market. Or we see a problem that we want to fix. And that was similar to me. I saw a little bit of an opportunity. There was very little competition, but I saw the problem where the industry needed additional options and someone that was going to provide exceptional customer care. I was at a conference a couple years ago and Sir Richard Branson was there. Sir Richard Branson is the billionaire owner of Virgin Airlines, Virgin Galactic, Virgin Phone, Virgin everything. And he said, what prompted me to be an entrepreneur was that I was getting very tired of the bad service from American-based airlines. So I started my own. And that's how he became an entrepreneur. 3 questions to ask potential entrepreneurs. Who do I know? That comes back to your network. What do I know? What are your certain skill sets, experience, knowledge? And who am I? Okay. Are you a risk taker? Do you have passion? Do you have desire? Do you have persistence? I'll tell you, being an entrepreneur is the hardest thing I've ever done. It's the most rewarding thing I've ever done, but it's the hardest thing I've ever done. How many people here own a Life is Good t-shirt? What does the little sewn-in tag on the side here say? Anyone? It says, like what you do and do what you like. Like what you do and do what you like. Because you're going to need to, because you're going to be doing it 60 to 80 hours a week and 6 to 7 days a week, at least getting started. So I always laugh, and I think most entrepreneurs do, when you hear people say, I want to start my own business because I don't want to work as hard, I want to take more time off, and you think, wow. So, but again, thinking about these 3 questions. Okay. Entrepreneurial thinking, through these studies, this term has come up, creation reasoning. And it's a little bit a different approach than what we've been taught most of our lives. Doing, then learning. Typically we learn, then we go out and do. In this case, from an entrepreneurial mindset, creation reasoning is doing and then learning. So starting with that, having a desire to do something. Like we talked about, having an idea and a desire to do something. Start with what you have. What resources do you have? Pay only what you can afford. So if you're starting a company, you go down this check, pay only what you can afford. What's your affordable loss consideration? Enroll others to join your journey and take action. It's about taking action. Act, learn, repeat. Act, learn, repeat. That's what we do as entrepreneurs. That's what resonates with us. That's what drives us. Build on what you learn, and hope between that learn and repeat stage, that's where you implement your lessons learned. Entrepreneurs, we favor what is real and confirmable over projections and assumptions. Projections and assumptions are so subjective. Okay? Smart action trumps analysis. How many here have heard of analysis paralysis? That's when you analyze something so much you can't even move forward or take action. Okay? And that's what you don't want. Smart action, get out there. Get out there and see what's real and see what works for you and your idea. And the opportunities more prevalent to come. Entrepreneurial thinking on market research. Okay. Take it for a test drive. As it says here, the best part is to go to your test market first and pretend it's a real business. Take it for a test drive and see. You know, you can sit, as it says here, it says here you can sit and analyze different markets forever and ever, and you might still get the wrong answers. Okay. Did I miss one? Goal setting. I did. Sorry, I went ahead of myself. It says entrepreneurs don't really have concrete goals. Okay, as you read through here, we kind of, oops, I'm hitting the wrong thing. Sorry about that. Oops. Back on. There we go. It says we develop goals on the fly, okay, and we react to contingencies. That's really not that true. We have goals. They're just a little broad. Okay? Almost like, I think a good example is when you fly in a plane. You put the luggage overhead, it shifts. During flight, it shifts. And you shift. Your goals shift. We just itch to get to the market as quickly as we can and as economically as we can. Market research, we already saw that. There's another market research here where it says just gathering information, it increases a lot of, as it says, increases all the different things you can do. But does it really tell you what you should do? Again, take action and you get that concrete feedback and then you have that data. Competition. Okay. It's secondary to most of us, especially starting out. I think I like this. Analyze whether you think you can be successful or not before you worry about the competitors. It's true. Almost like farmers, you know, we plant a little seed in a little patch of ground and we nurture that and we focus on that and we worry about that. There's plenty of time for competitive analysis later on, but that's really, as an entrepreneur, focus on what you're doing and don't worry about the competitors. Okay. Opportunity. I like this one too. Successful entrepreneur, we're confident, okay? We got that big bone in our mouth, okay? We're confident in our ability to recognize, respond, and reshape opportunities as they develop. Okay. We thrive on contingency. You got to have a backup plan. Okay. The best ones improvise their way to an outcome. How many people here watch the Food Network channel? Okay. The Iron Chef competition. That's a great analogy for an entrepreneur. We're at our best when we're given an assortment of ingredients and we have to whip up a dish that is constrained, that is managed by the time constraints that we have and our own imagination. Okay, so that Iron Chef is much like an entrepreneur. And we are internal optimists. We have that opportunity, we see that problem, and we don't stop until we get there. In summary, back to that creation reasoning, when you look at entrepreneurial thought and action, we're fluid. You can't be rigid. I think the best, another example is, fluid, we're like a flowing river. You know, we can flow, but we never stop. We might come an obstacle, we come into a rock in the road, we'll go around it or we go over it. Okay, so entrepreneurial thought and action are much like a moving river. We just keep moving forward and we don't stop. And then we adjust, we pivot, we shift to get to where we need to go. I met Liz Smith at a conference, the CEO of the OSI Restaurant Group. The OSI Restaurant Group owns Outback Steakhouse, Bonefish Grill, Carrabba's. And she made this comment, and she said, it's okay to fail, but fail fast. And keep from failing over and over again. Because if you fail over and over again, your company won't exist. Okay? But again, it goes back to act, learn, repeat. Learn from your failures there. So, I want to leave you with some information. I've got this and then a short video to show you. But with some organizations and some programs that you can find that have conducted a lot of these studies and will continue and have additional information for you, opportunities, resources, the Kauffman Foundation. They're really the world leader of entrepreneurship study. They're based out of Kansas City, Missouri. I was there a couple of years ago for some training. Very cool place. Their website right here, Kauffman.org. The Global Entrepreneurship Week is sponsored by Kauffman, and it's November 12th through 18th of this year. It's every year in November. And you can go online, unleashingideas.org. Go there. There's a plethora of information, and there's a lot of inspiration and motivation and programs that will help you as an entrepreneur. And for you that are aspiring entrepreneurs, get there and look and see, is this for you? The Small Business Administration, I wouldn't be standing here and have achieved what I have as an entrepreneur without them. They helped me get my first business loan, and it's a federal government. Many of their programs are free. They have mentoring programs, funding programs. You have your local small business development centers, work in collaboration with the SBA. There's so much there. So you get to that website, you can see quite a bit. Babson College. Babson College is right outside of Boston, and it has been ranked in the last 20 years as one of the top entrepreneurial programs in the country. I was there in May for some training, and pretty fun having some training from their top-notch professors. But again, another great resource for you and tool for you as far as entrepreneurs. The Kauffman Foundation, too, they have programs for entrepreneurs, so go online, too. Typically, there is a fee to go there, but it's again, we were there when I was there a couple years ago. We were in a like a bullpen type laboratories they have there, and you really learn. It would be well worth your while. And so before I leave and before we get to the question and answer, I would like to share what is called the Entrepreneurial Pledge. It's a quick 2-minute video, and it was developed by the Kauffman Foundation. Let's see. See if I can get, oops. I think you'll like it. think I did it right. Sorry about that. It's on Blu-ray. Yeah. Here we go.
I am following a dream, pursuing an opportunity, taking charge of my own destiny.
I am bringing something of value to society, making a job for myself and for others, and creating wealth that benefits my family, my community, my country, my world.
I am one of a movement of millions of entrepreneurs and innovators who made America great, and who will continue to keep our economy going and growing.
I am what I am because many people have helped me along on this journey.
Therefore, I will tell my story, sharing my successes and failures so that others taking the entrepreneurial path can learn.
I will strive to mentor an aspiring entrepreneur.
I will make my voice heard by those who make policy decisions that affect me and my business.
I will appreciate and celebrate my accomplishments and the accomplishments of all my fellow entrepreneurs.
I will give back to the society that helped me to be successful.
I will build a stronger America.
Pretty cool, huh? Well, that concludes my presentation for today, and I'm here to take question and answers. The bus doesn't leave the gas station till about midnight, so I'm here. I'm good for until then. But any questions? Yes. The question where I'm based out of now, I'm based in Salt Lake City. However, I don't have any work in Utah. All of my work, national, coast to coast. So I like your Boston T-shirt. You're welcome. Anyone else? Yes, sir. Okay. The question was, where do we get our bid opportunities for government work? There's a number of different sites. One that we work that we feel has been our best return on investment is FedBizOps. It's www.fedbizops, fedbizops.gov. And what's nice about that, it's free service, and it is all federal government agencies, from agriculture to interior to energy to defense, Army, Navy, Air Force. They list every day, and they have codes for certain services and products. And you can even sign up for keywords for you, so then every day if a procurement opportunity or a bid opportunity comes up that match your keywords, you will get an invoice, you will get an email notification. That's a good question. Anyone else? Yes, sir. Mm-hmm. For me, yes. What we have as a small business, and you see the headline every day, the government's in a tough, and the country's in a tough economic, the world's in a tough economic position. So when you look at the $1.2 trillion budget cut that President Obama is looking at, that definitely affects the government work that we do. We've had a couple layoffs even this year. The whole industry has. It's tough. And we're in a valley, it's one of the valley times. But with that, it's opportunity to move. So we're diversifying, and how do we grow? One thing that we've been looking at is clean tech You know, we look at what are our core competencies. You know, we've been doing environmental cleanup. We know that. We're good at it. We have a good reputation there. You don't want to then go and start selling health insurance. You know, you've got to stay with what you know and what you know you can do well at. And that's where we're looking to expand more in the waste management, clean tech, doing more of that zero waste programs that you can implement. So that is something that we have been looking at for the last couple of years. Excellent question. Yes, Doug. Okay. The question was, how do you obtain small business certifications? What ones we as Kavanaugh has, and how have they helped us? They've helped us, I bet, in 10 years we've been in business, from a small business certification, just off the top, probably well over $20 to $25 million in business from the small business, maybe even more than that. But small business certifications through the SBA, the Small Business Administration, the Utah District offices in Salt Lake, great bunch of folks there, but it's a federal agency. You have a woman-owned small business. So if you're 51% owner of a small business, that's one. Small disadvantaged business is another one. You have to approve to the SBA that you've been economically and socially disadvantaged, and it's a process there. Veterans, you have service disabled vet, and you have veteran owned, and there's a big push, as it should be, that for help more in helping veteran owned and setting more work aside for veteran owned businesses. The Kavanaugh Services Group, we are woman owned. We have the woman-owned certification, and we have the small disadvantaged business certification. And what's great about that, especially the SDB, is that federal governments, the law allows them to, through the Small Business Act that Congress passed back in the 80s, they set aside projects that you don't have to bid on. They can give them to you, what we use the term sole source, where they don't go out for a bid, and you can get that work. Okay? You've got to do a little bit of work to get there, but at the same time, you have sole source opportunities where you don't have to be in a bidding process and competing. Another one is where they set aside, where they say, okay, it looks like we have 3 or 4 qualified woman-owned businesses. Let's just allow this contract bid where just woman-owned small businesses can bid. And that's great. You look at that advantage, because then you really enhance your opportunity if they set aside and you're a small disadvantage or a woman-owned business, and it really drops off a lot of the level of competition, and it increases your opportunity to get work and to get those contracts. So it really, you know, if you're going to do federal government work, it really has been quite a tool for us, because as a small business, the government is required 23% of the procurement dollars, procurement means contract dollars, that every year that the government contracts out, 23% are supposed to go to small business. And I'll tell you, they rarely meet that goal. So the push always, and the SBA is really the lobbying government agency that continues to push and promote small business. So being a small business really has its advantages, and you see more and more of that. And now you have large businesses. You saw on one of my slides that said teaming, where you team with a large business. As a small business, a lot of large businesses want to team with you so they can get additional work, and that's very critical in it. And then you can develop that network, and it really has helped my company succeed.
That was an excellent question.
Mm-hmm.
We are out of time. I just want to say that like I said, going into 4 years of this, it's wonderful and refreshing to know and to recognize that a past Snow College student is at the tippy top of our list. I mean it, genuinely, in terms of quality. You won't find, I don't think, a presentation anywhere on a campus in this country at any university with any better, solid, good, practical business advice, and just the perfect blend of personal and professional. Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you so much, you guys.